Did the review film reveal anything more than your initial impressions from what you saw in the scrimmage Saturday?
I felt that it validated what we chose to work on in a 4-day training camp because we actually could play a game. You know, one time the ball got hit in the deep corner. We'd worked on that unusual floor spot. There were two-for-one situations, quick 2-for-1, slow 2-for-1. We had a press break that we had to go to at the end that we had in place. We had different looks to get Joel a touch or Josh a shot or whatever. And so I felt defensively we could guard a pick and roll with purpose. We could guard sort of pin downs and walk away with some level of purpose. I felt in general like I left that game thinking it was a fantastic game, you know, for the fans to see it. I felt like we were fairly organized and could play, you know, a decent, at some point, level of a game. And that environment stood out as much as any of sort of the individual things.
How good was that game for their conditioning? It seems like, early on they were kind of catching their breath and everything.
I mean, it's just a constant lead up. I've said to you before, it's like, what's on my mind? I've been asked many times, like, what's on my mind? And the first thing is to arrive on October the 23rd with an incredibly high fitness base. It's completely obsessed with what's their conditioning. And you get that sort of base, then the launching pad has a chance to be built forward. And I think that it's moving in that direction, but we still have a ways to go. I mean, Ferk and Joe have sort of had a respectful like for each other for a while now, and they've got a history together, being with last year's situation and so on. So I think that they did okay. Yeah, they did okay together. I'm excited to look at that group of Zaire and Furkan and Sheikh and Matisse and Mar, and it's an interesting group that somebody out of that group will emerge.
You bring up Matisse, you talked about charting reflections. Do you know offhand how many there actually were from him on Saturday, and what are you looking forward to seeing from him against a different colored jersey tomorrow?
It was a huge number. Ask our media guy, he'll tell you, I think it was 16 all up. The combination of steals and just fingers on balls. And your second part of the question was?
Just looking forward to seeing him against different colored jerseys, different players.
I mean, I'm looking forward to just watching him play in our system. I saw great things defensively, and really when you go back and watch the tape, he did some pretty good things offensively as well. There's getting an older draft pick, you know, you're reminded again of you get somebody that's an older draft pick, not just straight out of school, which we haven't really had many of. They're ahead of the learning curve. You know, I think that there's a maturity and an intellect that through just simply age oftentimes has a better chance to pick stuff up more quickly. I thought he was really good on the weekend.
With the way the teams were split and Kyle being on the opposite team, when Joel went to the bench, you slid out of the five. I guess just thoughts on how Ben and Al look specifically running the offense and sort of how that changes.
I thought it looked really good. It's Al is such a great screen setter, and so whether it's setting some on-ball stuff or off-ball stuff, whether it's just he's smart, I think lots of it has still to do with the excitement and the realization that he's on our team, and so immediately there's a quicker introduction, a quicker acceptance because he's just highly respected and that talented. I thought Ben and Al looked good. I'm always reminded how big Ben is when you see him stand next to some of these other players.
Do you envision those two playing together a lot outside of the start?
I do. Yeah, I do. And when we start, and you won't see a lot of it tomorrow, you'll see it on the weekend when we start trying to stick to a little bit of symmetry on how and why we sub and the pairings. Tomorrow you won't see that. I'm gonna rotate the team and there's not a ton of method to madness except to get people some minutes. I'll pull out of some stuff probably halfway through the third period and look at some bench guys. But on the weekend, it'll go back to like, let's start to get some stuff right and how we sub and play this. Yeah. I think just that concept that you're talking about, you cannot underestimate how important just the language is. And once you get that, it's a heck of a lot easier to communicate on the fly. We've actually have a book we call it, and it's not my idea, although I loved it, we called it 70-Sictionary. Clever? We think so. And because you come in and our assistant video guy came up with it. I thought it was clever. You come in and you've heard me say this. Well, what's the Malone line? We're going to Nash this and Varejao that and Peyton X this, and like you can just go on and on and on, and it's quite extensive. And so we have a formalized book. Like we help new people, Al Horford or Matisse, doesn't matter the age, just to get that established as quickly as we can, the language.